on my own. And pack the bags and close the door. Don't drive away alone.
In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. Cause these nightmares, they come creeping, stealing my peace while I'm sleeping. Still got creatures under my bed, and I know they're never leaving. So I think I'll just keep them, let them fuck up all these demons that been keeping me from freedom. Finally, I can just let them go. Yeah, the boogeyman ain't got shit on me. I got one night light coming from my screen. Still stuck in the room, write melodies. But lately I could really use some fucking sleep. It really don't matter to me. I would give it all up for a couple of Z's. Yeah, give it all away for another dream. Just give me one night of fucking peace. And please don't mind my mental. It gets fucked up when I grip the pistol. Plain and simple, gun to temple. Lights out now, low to hear the whistle.
Diggy, wake up.
In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. Cause these nightmares, they come creeping, stealing my peace while I'm sleeping. Still got creatures under my bed, and I know they're never leaving. So I think I'll just keep them, let them fuck up all these demons that been keeping me from freedom. Finally, I can just let them go. In the dead of the night, am I dead or alive? I've been running away from this pain. In the blink of an eye, I think I'm losing my mind. I think I really be going insane. In a dream I could fly way up in the sky, but the nightmare's where I stay. Yeah, these nightmares, they still haunt me ever since you went away. In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. I'm a mess, I'm undead.
Quinn, VO. The voice is silk wrapped around a razor blade. It does not speak. It resonates from everywhere at once, cold, amused, and devoid of mercy. Do you hear that? The silence? Oh, you poor linear creatures. You cling to the absence of noise as if it was safety. You think because the metal monsters have stopped screeching, the danger has passed. How pedestrian. I see you there, huddled in your little glass box above the slaughter, stitching up your wounds, patting each other on the back for delaying the inevitable entropy. You believe you have won a battle. You haven't won anything. You have merely increased the variables. And my favorite little toy, Ayana, look at her. She is vibrating. A raw, exposed nerve ending in a world made of salt. She thinks she is going mad. She isn't. She is simply the only one of you with the correct hardware to receive the broadcast. The universe is screaming, little vipers. It is howling with the data of 1 billion dying stars and 1 trillion broken timelines. And I have turned her volume dial all the way to the right. There is no mute button, darling. There is only the signal. And right now, the signal is hungry. The waveform spikes into a chaotic mess of static, then collapses into a flat line. Saga of the Outcast. ACT2, Viper. Chapter 14, Whispers from the Walls. POV, Ayana Baptiste, the antenna. Location, Sector 5 Security Hub, overlooking the main lab. The silence was a lie. That's the first thing you learn when your mind is a broken radio. True silence doesn't exist. There is always a frequency. There is always a hum, but usually it's background radiation, the buzz of a fluorescent light, the low-frequency thrum of electricity in the walls, the distant, muffled static of other people's thoughts. Right now, it was a roar. We were huddled in the security office, a cramped glass-walled blister overlooking the cavernous laboratory where we had just butchered the chimeras. The air up here smelled of stale coffee, burnt circuitry, and the copper tang of Tenok's blood. Hold still, Nia whispered. Her voice was trembling, thick with the tears she was trying to hold back. She was kneeling beside Tenok, pressing a wad of gauze against the gash on his forearm. Tenok sat on a swivel chair that looked too small for him, his massive frame slumped. He didn't flinch as she tightened the bandage. He didn't look like he was in pain. He looked hollowed out. Voice 3, the spectral echo, a wailing multitonal chorus, sounding like wind rushing through a cracked window. It picks up the residual death of the room. He leaked the dark, he spilled the gravity. The walls, remember, the walls are bent. Look at the tiles, they are screaming. Subject 89, bone saw, bone saw. I squeezed my eyes shut, pressing the heels of my hands against my ears. It didn't help. It never helps. The voices don't come from the outside. They bloom in the marrow. Ayana? I snapped my eyes open. Nova was staring at me. She was standing by the door, her back rigid, her face that terrifying perfect mask of porcelain calm. She was watching me track invisible flies. Status, she demanded. Not a question. A data request. Loud, I choked out, my accent thickening as the stress squeezed my throat. It bare loud in here, Star. Like a market day in hell. Voice 1, the paranoiac. A wet, sibilant whisper, right behind the left ear. It sounds like a snake sliding on wet concrete. She's watching you, the Ice Queen. She thinks you're broken. She's calculating the liability. Look at her eyes. She's wondering if she should leave you here. Flush the variable. Nobody wants a broken radio. Voice 2, the defender. Sharp, clear, indignant but distant, like someone shouting from the bottom of a well. Low dat. Shut up. She's guarding the door. She's holding the line. Focus, Ayana. Breathe. I tried to breathe, but the air was too thick. It was saturated with the psychic residue of the fight. Down below, through the smudged safety glass, I could see the crushed remains of the chimeras. The one Tenok had imploded. It was just a stain. A smear of biology and mechanics flattened against a wall that buckled inward like wet cardboard. I looked at Tenok again. The gauze on his arm was already soaking through red, but that wasn't what scared me. It was the shadow clinging to him. The air around him rippled, like heat haze off asphalt. Voice 3, the spectral echo. He ate it. He ate the space. Emptiness is heavy. So heavy, the cost. Ask him the cost. The void takes a bite for every bite he takes. I'm initiating the bypass, Ronan announced. He was hunched over the main security console, his fingers flying across a tactile keyboard. The blue light of the monitors washed out his tan skin, making him look like a corpse. He was sweating. The effortless charm, the success chic facade, it was cracking. I could hear his heartbeat from here. It was a frantic, staccato drum solo. Thump, 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 thump. The system is locked down hard, Ronan muttered, mostly to himself. Biometric encryption. Rolling codes. It's military grade, but whoever built this was arrogant. They left the debug port open. The paranoiac, he's failing. The manipulator is losing his strings. He can't hack it. He's going to get us killed because he's too proud to admit he's locked out. Look at his hands shake. He's scared. He's moving shaky. Come on, Ronan hissed, hitting the enter key with unnecessary force. Give me the logs. Show me what happened here. A heavy mechanical clunk echoed through the facility as the blast shutters on the far side of the lab began to retract. The lockdown was lifting. We have egress, Alasdair said from the corner. He was cleaning his sunglasses, his face pale and green-tinged. He kept squinting at the corners of the room as if the geometry was trying to bite him. Great. Now we can leave this bloody tomb. Not yet, Ronan snapped. We need intel. We need to know where the other sites are. We need to know what Project Chimera actually is. It's a chop shop, I whispered. The words tumbled out before I could check them. Everyone looked at me. The voices, I said, pointing at the floor, at the ceiling, at the vents. They aren't just noise today. They're memories. This room, it remembers. Voice 3, the spectral echo. Rising in pitch, a cacophony of clinical terror. Subject 89, non-compliant. Inject the catalyst. Hold him down. Soaring bone, soaring bone, soaring bone. He's awake. Why is he awake? I flinched, physically ducking as a phantom scream ripped through my skull. It was so real I felt the spray of blood on my face even though there was nothing there. Ayana, dial it down, Ronan commanded, not looking up from the screen. I need you functional. Are there more hostiles? I don't know. I snapped. my hands shaking. It's a choir. It's a stadium of people screaming in a library. I can't filter it. You think I want this? Low me. Voice 1, the paranoiac. He doesn't care. You're just a radar to him. A tool. If you break, he replaces you. Throw you away like trash. She is reaching capacity, Nova observed coolly. She stepped away from the door and walked toward me. I scrambled back, hitting the wall. Don't touch me. Please. Just don't. You're cold. It hurts when it hits the noise. Nova stopped. She tilted her head, analyzing. Understood. Maintaining distance. Ronin slammed his fist on the console. Damn it! The screen in front of him flashed red. Data corrupted. Sector archive purged. It's gone. Ronin spat, spinning the chair around. His eyes were wild, furious. Everything. Security footage. Experiment logs. Personnel files. Someone wiped the drive. It's a ghost town. We have nothing. We bled for nothing. The frustration in the room spiked. It wasn't just emotion, it was energy. Naya's sorrow, Al's migraine rage, Tenok's heavy despair, Ronin's sharp, jagged anger. It hit me like a tidal wave. Voice 1, the paranoiac. Useless. We're blind. Wandering in the dark. The Legion is laughing. They left us a trap. Voice 2, the defender. Look deeper. They can't erase everything. Ghosts leave footprints. Then a new voice cut through the static. It wasn't like the others. It didn't sound like a terrified ghost or a nasty whisper. It sounded ancient. Encrypted. Like a riddle spoken through a synthesizer made of black holes. Voice 4, the riddle, the flow, precise, amused, echoing with metallic reverb. It feels like cold oil pouring down the spine. The ink is dry, but the paper remembers. The mind is wiped, but the heart, oh, the heart is sick. Find the sick heart, little antenna. The data beats in the chest of the dead. I froze. The sick heart, I whispered. What? Ronin looked at me, his eyes narrowing. The voice, I gasped, clutching my chest. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. It said, find the sick heart. The data beats in the chest of the dead. Riddles, Alasdair groaned, sliding down the wall to sit on the floor. Fantastic. The schizophrenia is speaking in metaphors now. Can we please just leave? No, I said, pushing myself off the wall. The fear was still there, a cold, oily knot in my stomach. But the instruction was clear. It felt like a hook in my navel, pulling me forward. Voice 5, the guide, very faint, almost imperceptible. A warm hum, like a mother humming a lullaby in the next room. Left, under the glass. Don't look at the blood. Just look for the light. I walked past Ronin. I walked toward the console he had just abandoned. Ayana, I checked it, Ronin said, his voice clipped. The mainframe is wiped. There's nothing. Hush your mouth, I hissed. I wasn't looking at the screens. I was listening to the plastic. I was listening to the metal casing of the desk. Voice 3. The spectral echo. Hide it, he's coming. The prefect knows. Hide it before the purge. Swallow the truth. I knelt down under the console. It was dark, a tangle of cables and dust bunnies. Ayana? Tenok's voice. Deep. Rumble. What do you see? Not see, I muttered. Hear. I crawled deeper. There, taped to the underside of the lowest support bracket, hidden in the shadows where no maintenance crew would look, it was a small, erratic pulse. Thump, thump. I reached out. My fingers brushed against something hard and cold. I peeled the duct tape away. It fell into my hand. A flash drive. But not a normal one. It was encased in a jagged piece of red crystal, glowing faintly. It felt feverish to the touch. The sick heart, I whispered, holding it up. The room went silent. Even the voices in my head paused, holding their breath. Ronin was beside me in a second. He snatched the drive from my hand, gentle but greedy. He looked at it, his predator eyes widening. That's not standard Legion tech, he murmured. That's improvised. He stood up and jammed it into the auxiliary port of the console. Voice 1, the paranoiac. Trap. It's a trap. It's a virus. It's going to scream. Voice 4, the riddle. Open the vein. Let the information bleed. The screens flickered. The red, purged warning vanished. Static filled the monitors. Then a video file began to play. It wasn't the clean, clinical footage of the Legion. The camera angle was low, hidden. A spy cam. The timestamp was from yesterday. The footage showed the main lab, the same room we were currently standing above. The tanks were intact. But the people moving through the room, they weren't Legionnaires in their sleek white armor. They wore matte grey tactical gear, but it was organic. It looked like shark skin. And on their shoulders there were 3 distinct insignias. A claw, a gear, and something that looked like a burning eye. "Who are they?" Nia whispered, stepping closer to the screen. "That's not the Legion. And that's not the light." "Look at their faces," Alasdair said, his voice dropping to a horrified whisper. "The geometry, it's wrong." He was right. The figures on the screen removed their helmets. They were humanoid, but their skin was translucent, revealing shifting, bioluminescent veins underneath. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, like a video playing at the wrong frame rate. Voice 3. The spectral echo. "Not here, not from here. The stars are cold, the stars are hungry." In the video, the lead entity gestured to the tanks. "Initiate extraction," it said. The voice on the recording was distorted, layered with a subharmonic buzz. "The prefect has authorized the dismantling. Move the assets to the primary hive." The entities didn't break the tanks. They sang to them. A low, throbbing hum emitted from their throats. The chimeras inside the tanks, the monsters that had nearly killed us, stopped thrashing. They went docile. They bowed their heads. The glass of the tanks dissolved into mist. The entities led the chimeras out of the lab like sheep. Like pets. "They control them," Ronan said, his voice hollow. "They aren't fighting the monsters, they're herding them." The screen went black. "We aren't fighting a war," Tenok grumbled, his fists clenching so hard I heard the leather of his gloves creak. "We're fighting a cleanup crew. And if that timestamp is right," Nova said, pointing to the corner of the screen, "they didn't leave yesterday." A heavy, grinding sound came from the vents above us. Shclack. Shclack. The same sound we heard before the chimeras attacked. But this time it was accompanied by a low, throbbing hum. Voice 1, the paranoiac. "They're here. They never left. They were watching, waiting for us to trigger the system." Voice 4, the riddle. "The spider does not leave the web just because the fly stops struggling." "They're still here," I whispered, backing away from the console. The vent cover in the ceiling of the security office slowly began to unscrew itself. Not forced open. Unscrewed. From the inside, a translucent grey hand with too many fingers reached out. We weren't the hunters. We were the infestation. The screen flickers, the waveform returns, pulsing with a slow, mocking rhythm. Quinn, VO. A low, throaty laugh that sounds like a collapsing star. "Did you feel that drop in your stomach? That delightful little lurch of gravity? That is the feeling of your paradigm shifting without a clutch. You thought you were fighting the Legion. Oh, darlings, the Legion is just the operating system. You haven't even met the user yet. And look at them. Look at their faces. The realization that their little victory was just a clerical error in a much larger ledger. Run, little vipers. Run and hide. But remember, the observer effect works both ways. If you can see them, they have already processed you." Fade to black. "Do you know why I love the spider, little user? It isn't the web. Any idiot can spin a trap. It's the patience. The spider does not hunt. It waits for the universe to deliver the meal. It understands that struggle is just a form of seasoning. And look at him. My beautiful broken Ronin. He has finally realized that he doesn't need to be the hero. Heroes bleed. Heroes die in the mud. He has decided to be the player. And everyone else? They're just NPCs. Glitchy, wet, meat-based code, waiting to be rewritten. He calls it strategy. I call it admin privileges. Watch closely. He's about to violate the most sacred law of consciousness, the right to be alone in your own head. He isn't just going to kill them. He is going to wear them. The hunger is waking up, darlings. And it wants to play with its food. The static screams. The image resolves into darkness. Saga of the Outcast. ACT2, Viper. Chapter 14, Part 2. System Override. POV, Ronin Sato, the strategist, location, Sector 5 security hub / the killbox. The room smelled like ozone and impending death. It wasn't the clean smell of a hospital. It was the smell of a server room catching fire, plastic melting, fans whirring, and the sharp metallic tang of Tinoch's blood hitting the floor. Status, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded flat. Compressed. Like audio played through a bad speaker. Shclack. Shclack. I looked at the tactical map in my head. Tenoch. Bleeding out. Efficiency rating. 40%. Running on fumes. Nia. Crying. Useless. Her empathy was a raw nerve. She was picking up the alien's hive mind, and it was frying her circuit board. Nova. Green light. Optimal. She was standing by the door, her breathing so shallow she looked like a statue. Alistair. Vibrating. He was gripping a length of rebar like a baseball bat, muttering about angles and load-bearing walls. Nia, I said. I didn't look at her. Get behind the desk. Mute yourself. If you scream, you draw aggro. Capiche? She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and curled into a ball under the main console. Good. One variable archived. Ayana, I snapped. Lock in. You're my HUD. Where's the first breach? Ceiling, she gasped. 12 feet. Sector north. I looked up. It didn't burst open. It rotated. The screws backed out, seemingly by themselves. A hand emerged. It wasn't human. It was grey, translucent and slick, like a condom filled with oil. 7 fingers. Disgusting, I muttered. The head followed. Bulbous, smooth, 3 glowing slits where a face should be. Scanning the room with a Nova, I said. On my mark. Solid state. Nova didn't ask questions. She didn't need motivation. She adjusted her glasses. Ready. I picked up a yellow HB pencil from the desk. A pathetic weapon. 1, I counted. The creature hissed, a sound like high-pressure steam venting. It began to lower itself. 2. I flicked the pencil. I didn't throw it at the alien. I threw it at the metal ductwork 3 feet to its left. Ping. The alien's head snapped toward the sound. Biology is predictable. Stimulus. Response. Its center of gravity shifted just an inch. 3. Delete. Nova slammed her palm against the air. Crack. It wasn't ice. It moved faster than the eye could track. It caught the alien mid-drop. Squelch. The sound was wet and heavy. The spike entered the creature's chest and exited through its spine, pinning it to the ceiling. Black ichor. Thick, tar-like blood sprayed down, splattering Nova's pristine coat. She didn't flinch. She just stepped back to avoid the mess. Target neutralized, she said. Her voice was bored. That was the scout, I said, walking to the glass wall overlooking the main lab. Now comes the raid party. The facility groaned. Clang, clang, clang. It wasn't just the ceiling anymore. The floor vents in the main lab blew open. The wall panels in the corridor buckled. They poured in. 1, 3, 7, 10. They moved like liquid mercury, flowing over obstacles, sticking to walls. They wore that organic sharkskin armor, matte grey and shifting. They hummed, a low, discordant frequency that made my teeth ache. Too many, Alasdair hissed, backing away from the glass. Chill, Al, I said. We aren't trapped in here with them. I walked to the main breaker panel on the wall. I could feel the hunger waking up in my gut. It wasn't just adrenaline. It was a dark, starving void that wanted to eat the world. They're in the dark with us. I grabbed the master lever. Al, Ayana, Nova. Night shift. I pulled it. The facility died. The red emergency lights cut out. The only light came from the faint, bioluminescent glow of the alien's eyes down in the lab. Ayana, I whispered. My voice echoed in the silence. Ping. Left! Ayana gasped. Moving fast. Flanking the stairs. Nova. Intercept. Tank mode. I heard the whoosh of air as Nova moved. Down in the dark, a thermal bolt fired, lighting up the room for a split second. I saw Nova. She had fully shifted. Her skin wasn't porcelain anymore. Diamond. She looked like a statue carved from the night itself, The thermal bolt hit her chest and dissipated like water on a hot skillet. She didn't stumble. She reached out and grabbed the alien by its throat. Crunch. The alien shrieked. "One down," I murmured. But there were more. I could feel them. My skin was prickling. The hunger was clawing at the back of my throat. I closed my eyes. Visuals were a distraction. I needed the code. I reached out with my mind. I was hacking their BIOS. I see the strings. In the dark, the room wasn't black to me. It was a wireframe of intent. The Vipers were bright, messy sparks. They were grey static. Open networks. No firewalls. No souls. Just biological machines running a seek and destroy script. Weak. I focused on the one creeping across the ceiling, directly above Alasdair. Mine. I drove my will into its brainstem like a railroad spike. The backlash hit me instantly. A white-hot migraine exploded behind my eyes. My nose burst, warm blood flowing over my lip. My hands started to shake, the nerves misfiring. Gago. It hurt. Connect. My perspective fractured. I was clinging to the ceiling tile. I could smell the fear of the humans below me. It smelled like vinegar and sweat. I flexed a claw. The alien flexed a claw. I laughed. It came out as a wet, alien hiss. "Alasdair," I called out, my human voice straining. "Look up." Alasdair looked up. "Say hello to your new best friend." I forced the alien, my puppet, to drop. It landed right in front of Alasdair. He screamed and raised his rebar. "Don't!" I barked. "It's hacked." The alien froze. I forced its muscles to lock. It stood there, twitching, fighting me. I could feel its mind screaming, a chaotic buzz of error, error, error. "Kill the others," I whispered to it. I twisted its mind. I rewrote the friend-foe tag. The alien screeched. It spun around and charged its own squad. The betrayal was beautiful. My puppet tackled the alien behind it. I forced it to bite, to claw, to rip. Blue bioluminescent blood. "What are you doing?" Tenok roared from the corner, his voice thick with pain. "Ronin." "That thing is." "It's a resource, Tenok." I shouted back, wiping the blood from my nose. "It's just hardware. Nova, push the advantage." Nova advanced. She was a walking glacier. The aliens fired at her, but she just walked through the thermal bolts. When she got close, she didn't punch. She extended her hand, and jagged spikes of obsidian erupted from her knuckles. But there were still too many. 5 left. And my puppet was getting torn apart. Its arm was ripped off. I felt the phantom pain, a sharp snap in my shoulder, but I just grinned. Disconnect? I severed the link. The puppet collapsed. Useless meat. "We need a heavy," I muttered, swaying slightly. I scanned the room with the hunger. The aliens were regrouping. They were smart. They realized I was compromising their network. They were blocking me out. But they forgot one thing. The room wasn't empty. "Ayana," I hissed. "The vents. The big one, west wall." It's pulsating," Ayana whispered, her hands shaking. I reached out. Not to the aliens. To the monster. We had killed 2 chimeras. But the third one, the one that vanished during the ambush? It was still here. It had retreated into the HVAC system, a wounded animal waiting for the predators to leave. I found its mind. It was a chaotic mess of human trauma and machine code. I didn't ask it to come out. I dragged it out. "Wake up." I visualized a hook sinking into its spinal column. I pulled. Scree! The massive ventilation grate on the west wall exploded outward. Metal twisted and screamed. And then it landed. The chimera. The aliens stopped. They turned their glowing heads toward the new threat. They hissed. It roared, a sound of pressurized air and human agony. "Sick 'em," I whispered. I pushed the kill button in its brain. The chimera charged. It moved with a terrifying heavy speed. Thud, thud, thud. The floor shook. It caught the nearest alien in its hydraulic clamp. Squish. Blue gore exploded like a popped water balloon. The chimera didn't stop. It used the crushed alien as a flail, swinging it into the next one. The aliens fired their thermal bolts at it. Ping, ping. The shots scorched the steel plating but didn't slow it down. "Nova!" I shouted. "Flank them! Cut off their retreat!" Nova moved. She slid across the floor, a shadow in the chaos. She threw shards of black glass at the aliens trying to scatter. Thwack! Thwack! Aliens fell, screeching. The Chimera was on them instantly. It stomped. It crushed. I stood there, conducting it. My nose was bleeding freely now, soaking my shirt. My head felt like it was being split by an axe. Every time the Chimera took a hit, I felt a dull thud in my own chest. But the power, God, the power! It was intoxicating. There was one alien left. The leader! It was backed into a corner, hissing, holding its arm up in a futile defense. The Chimera loomed over it, raising its pneumatic fist for the killing blow. "Hold," I commanded. The Chimera froze. Its fist hovered inches from the alien's face, vibrating with restrained energy. I walked over. The room was silent now, except for the heavy, mechanical wheezing of my pet monster and the wet gurgle of the trapped alien. I stood over the alien. I felt tall. I felt like a god. My hands were shaking so bad I had to clench them into fists. I looked at the Vipers. Alasdair was staring at me like I was the devil. Ayana was peeking through her fingers, terrified. Nova was watching me with calculation. She was measuring my threat level. I knelt down beside the alien. "Look at me," I said. It stared. Its eyes were full of hate. I reached out with the hunger one last time. I didn't want control. I wanted the hard drive. Download. I ripped the info out of its head. Images flashed. Snow? Endless white snow. A mountain that hummed. A machine. The loom. The harvest map. Global red dots. Elara Vance. And something behind her. A shadow. Target location, Kodiak Island. Alaska. "Gotcha," I whispered. I stood up. "Clean up." Nova stepped forward. She didn't use her powers. She just stomped on the alien's neck. Snap? The room settled. I looked at the Chimera. It was standing there, awaiting orders. I cut the string. The Chimera collapsed. It didn't die. It became just a pile of meat and metal. I staggered, grabbing a support beam to stay upright. "Ronin." "Tenok." He looked at the dead aliens, then at the twitching Chimera, then at me. "What? What are you doing?" "Winning," I wheezed. I spat a mouthful of bloody saliva onto the floor. "I'm winning." "You look like death," Alasdair said, his voice shaky. "You look infected, mate." "I'm fine," I lied. "We have the coordinates." "Alaska. That's where the boss fight is." "Wait," Ayana said. She stepped into the center of the room. She wasn't looking at the bodies. She was looking at the far wall, at a heavy blast door we hadn't opened. "The voices," she whispered. "They didn't stop." I frowned. "Hostiles?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "Not monsters, not ghosts." She walked toward the door. "Ayana, wait," I ordered. "We need to extract." She ignored me. She put her hand on the blast door. "They're calling me." "Open it," Tenok said. "If there's someone in there, we get them out." I sighed. "Fine." Tenok glared at me, but he gripped the manual release wheel. He groaned, his muscles straining, and turned it. Clank. Hiss. The heavy door swung open. Light spilled out. A soft, weird, prismatic light. We looked inside. And in the middle of it, two figures. I felt a chill go down my spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. "Well," I muttered, wiping the blood from my lip. "Looks like the DLC just dropped." Quinn, VO, and there it is. The moment the boy died, and the sysadmin was born. Did you see it? The way he looked at them? Not as enemies. As assets. He thinks he's playing the game. He thinks he's the one holding the controller. Oh, Ronin. My sweet, arrogant glitch. You can cut the strings all you want. You can paint yourself in their blood and call it victory. But you forget the most important rule of the network. Once you plug in, you can never truly log off. Welcome to the hive, little spider. I hope you're hungry. Fade to black. The Anatomy of Ghosts. POV, Zara Khan, the navigator, location, Eureka, California, the Carson Mansion District / Humboldt Bay. Timeline, 36 hours post-breach. Time doesn't flow for me. It shatters. Most people see the world as a stream. Past behind them, future ahead. I see it as a room full of broken mirrors. I look at a coffee cup, and I see the ceramic dust it will become. I look at a redwood tree, and I hear the thud of the axe that hasn't been swung yet. But looking at them, the two new strays Ronin dragged out of the dark was like staring directly into a strobe light. Ika Aguirre. The prism. He was sitting in the back of the stolen transport van we'd hot-wired outside Modesto. Every time the van hit a bump, he glitched. Literally. 1 second he was sitting there, knees to his chest. The next, a translucent ghost of him was thrown through the windshield, screaming. Then, snap, he was back in the seat. He was a skipping record in the shape of a boy. Sanai Altan. The eclipse. She didn't glitch. She just weighed. She sat in the corner, staring at nothing with eyes that were swallowed by pupil. The air around her was heavy, thick like underwater pressure. I could feel the gravity of her depression pulling at my own bones, making my eyelids droop. 3 seconds, I whispered, clutching my head. In 3 seconds, the tire blows. Bam! The back right tire shredded. The van swerved. Called it, I muttered, the migraine spiking behind my eyes. We're here anyway, Ronin said from the driver's seat. His voice was too calm, too smooth. He didn't flinch when the van skidded. He just corrected the wheel with a lazy, one-handed motion. Eureka, welcome to the edge of the map, NPCs. I looked at him in the rearview mirror. Ronin Sato. Our leader. Except he wasn't, was he? I looked at his reflection. I didn't see the handsome Filipino-Canadian boy with the success chic haircut anymore. I saw the shadow standing behind him. A towering black shape made of hunger and oily strings. Future A, he kills us all in Alaska to power the loom. Future B, he dies saving us, screaming for his mother. Future C, he becomes something worse than the Legion. Everyone out, Ronin commanded. We need a boat, and we need to patch up the tank. He gestured to Tenok, who was lying on the floor of the van, pale and sweating. His side was a mess of coagulated blood and purple bruising. The anchor was cracking. We spilled out into the fog. Eureka was a ghost town of Victorian mansions and rotting fishing nets. The fog rolled in off Humboldt Bay, thick and cold, smelling of salt and dead crab. It swirled around the spires of the Carson Mansion, making the house look like a jagged set of teeth biting the grey sky. This place is a graveyard, Alistair Finch muttered, shivering. He pulled his jacket tighter. It feels geometric. Like the angles are all wrong. It's quiet, Ayana whispered. She was holding her hands over her ears. The voices, they're muffled here. The fog eats them. Good, Ronin said. He walked around to the back of the van and looked at the two new recruits. Hey, glitch. Black hole. Get up. We're walking. Ika looked up. His face was a mess of terror. Which walk? Ika stammered. The one where we go to the shelter? Or the one where the police see us and shoot me in the leg? The one where you shut up and follow me, Ronin said. Or I leave you here. Ronin, Nova stepped in. Her voice was ice. Tactical empathy. Try it. Empathy is a depreciating asset, Nova, Ronin shot back, flashing a grin that didn't reach his dead eyes. Let's move. We found a spot near Sequoia Park, behind the massive ancient redwoods. It was a homeless encampment, a collection of tarps and tents huddled against the damp cold. The people there didn't ask questions. In Eureka, if you look broken, you fit right in. We laid Tenok on a dry patch of moss under a giant fern. Ayana Nia, keep watch, Ronin ordered. Nova, patch him up. Zara, you're with me. We need to interview the new hires. I didn't want to go with him. Being near Ronin felt like standing next to a microwave with the door open. You could feel him cooking you. But I nodded. We sat on a fallen log facing Ika and Sanai. So, Ronin said, leaning back, cleaning a speck of alien blood from his fingernail. Let's review the resume. How did the Legion bag you? Sanai didn't speak. She was in the depressive phase. She looked small, huddled in her shiny black puffer jacket, her combat boots scuffing the dirt. But Ika, Ica was vibrating. I tried to fix the train, Ica whispered. He was looking at a space 3 feet to my left. The timeline was bent. I saw the derailment. I tried to pull the other track into this reality, but the track was heavy. And then the grey men came. I closed my eyes. I reached out with my flow. Show me. Zara's vision, the schism. The world fractures. I'm not in the forest anymore. I'm in a subway station in Bilbao. The air smells of ozone and burning brakes. I see Ica, but there are 6 of him. One is screaming at a commuter. One is lying dead on the tracks, cut in half. One is fighting a cleaner, his hands phasing through the alien's armor. The horror isn't the violence, it's the confusion. I feel Ica's mind. It's like a browser with a million tabs open, and they're all playing different songs. He doesn't know which tab is the real world. I see the cleaner raise the tuning fork. I feel the vibration shatter Ica's reality. He collapses, not because he's hurt, but because he loses the ability to decide which version of him is alive. Vision ends. I gasped, snapping back to the forest. My nose was bleeding. He splits causality, I whispered to Ronin. He creates decoy realities. He doesn't control it. He's a walking probability bomb. Useful, Ronin mused. A distraction engine? We can use that. He's a person, Ronin, Alasdair said, stepping into the circle. He's terrified. Look at him. I am looking at him, Ronin said calmly. I see a tool that breaks enemy targeting systems. What do you see, Al? A tragic backstory? We don't have time for poetry. You're a prick, Alasdair spat. You know that. Ever since the lab, ever since you jacked into that thing, you've been different. You're talking like a bloody algorithm. And you're talking like a liability, Ronin stood up. The air temperature dropped. Do you want to lead, Alasdair? Do you want to make the calls? Because I remember you crying in the bathroom at the Foundation while I was planning our survival. Stop, Nova said. She didn't shout. She just spoke with the weight of a glacier. She walked over from Tenok's side. Both of you, stop. She looked at Sarnai. The girl, Nova said. She's the dangerous one. Look at the leaves. We looked down. The ferns around Sarnai weren't just flattened. They were crushed. The molecular structure had collapsed under intense localized gravity. Hey, I said softly, stepping towards Sarnai. Can you hear me? Sarnai looked up. Her eyes were terrifying, pure, ink-black voids. It's too heavy, she whispered. Her voice sounded like stones grinding together. I tried to be the sun. But the sun falls down. I touched her hand. Zara's vision, the binary star, techno music, bass rattling my ribs. I'm in a club in Mongolia. I feel incredible. I feel like God. I am Sarnai, but I am the sun. I am glowing. My skin is burning gold. I raise my hands and the ceiling melts. The crowd is screaming, but I think they're cheering. I am the physics. I am the velocity. Then, the crash. It's physical pain. The dopamine leaves my brain instantly. The light dies. The room goes black. Gravity spikes. I watch as the dancers are slammed to the floor. I hear bones snap under the weight of my own sadness. I am crushing them. I am a black hole eating my friends. The cleaners walk in. They don't hurt me. They just put a collar on me, because they know I'm already dead inside. Vision ends. I pulled my hand back, burning hot tears streaming down my face. I felt her guilt. It was heavier than the gravity. She's a physics engine, I choked out. Bipolar flow. Mania creates energy. Depression creates gravity. She killed people, Ronin. By accident. She crushed them. Ronin looked at Sarnai. He didn't look horrified. He looked hungry. He licked his lips. It was a small, unconscious movement, but I saw it. He was looking at her like she was a battery he could slot into a machine. Gravity, Ronin muttered. We can use that to crush the loom's defenses. And the timeline kid? We throw him in first to scatter their aim. You're talking about weaponizing their mental illness, Naya whispered. She had woken up. She was pale, holding Ayana's hand. Ronin, that's what the Legion does. The Legion wants to unmake the world, Ronin said, his voice hard. I just want to win. If I have to use broken parts to build the gun, I will. He turned to me. Zora? Navigator? Check the path. We need a boat to Alaska. What happens if we take the ferry at the docks? I closed my eyes. I didn't want to look, but the images forced their way in. Precognition. The Madaket ferry. Path 1. We steal a fishing trawler. We get stopped by the Coast Guard. Ronin uses the Chimera Protocol on the captain. We kill them all. We get to Alaska covered in innocent blood. Path 2. We hide on a cargo ship. We freeze. Tenok dies of infection before we reach Anchorage. Path 3. The Madaket. An old ferry. We pay the captain with the gold watch Ronin stole from the lab. It's slow. But the fog hides us. The Madaket, I said, opening my eyes. Old town docks. Leave tonight. The fog will cover us. Good, Ronin said. Pack it up. We move in 10. We moved through the Sequoia Park Zoo to get to the docks. It was surreal. We walked past the gibbon enclosure in the dark. The monkeys sensed us. They sensed the predator in Ronin and the void in Sanai. They went silent, huddled in the back of their cages. Even the animals know we're wrong, Ayana murmured. I walked beside Iker. He was twitching less, but he kept whispering to himself. Hey, I said. Iker, you with us? I'm here, he said. Then he pointed to a tree. But I'm also hanging from that branch, and I'm also eating a sandwich in Madrid. Which one is the real me? The one talking to me, I said. Focus on my voice. I'm the anchor. He looked at me. For a second, his edges sharpened. He looked grateful. You see the fractures too, he said. The glass. Yeah, I said. I see them. Does it ever stop? No, I said. But you learn to ignore the reflections. We reached the docks. The Madaket was there. A small, weathered ferry boat that looked like it belonged in 1920s. The captain was a gruff old man who didn't ask why 7 teenagers covered in grime and blood wanted a ride north. He just took the gold watch Ronin handed him and pointed to the lower deck. We boarded. The boat chugged out of Humboldt Bay. The fog was so thick you couldn't see the water. We were floating in a grey void. We sat in the cargo hold. It smelled of diesel and fish. Tenok was sleeping, his breathing shallow. Nova sat next to him, her hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. She was the only one who could get close to him without being crushed by his passive gravity. I sat with Nia and Ayana. Alastair was pacing. Ronin was standing at the prow, looking out into the nothingness. He's going to get us killed, Alastair whispered to me. You know that, right? He's not strategizing anymore. He's feeding. Did you see him in the lab? He enjoyed breaking that alien's fingers. I saw, I said. We need a contingency, Alastair said. If he goes dark, if he tries to plug into the loom, we might have to take him out. Can we? I asked. He has the command voice. He can just tell us to stop breathing. Nova, Nia said softly. Nova is the only one. She's the null. She can turn off his voice. We looked at Nova. She was cleaning her glasses, her face unreadable. She heard us. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Sanai was sitting by the engine block. The heat of the engine seemed to comfort her. She was starting to shift. The mania was creeping back in. I could see a faint glow starting under her skin. It's getting brighter, Sanai whispered, smiling at a flame that wasn't there. We're going to the ice. I can melt the ice. I can make it summer in Alaska. Quiet, Ronin's voice cut through the hold. He walked down the stairs. He looked at us. He looked at the fear in Nia's eyes, the anger in Alastair's, the madness in Sanai's. Briefing, he said. Listen up. Kodiak Island. The Legion has a facility there. It's a geothermal plant, but they aren't generating electricity. He looked at me. Zora, what do you see? In Alaska. I hesitated. I looked at the future. It was a mess of snow and blood. I saw Tenok holding up a collapsing mountain. I saw Nova shattering into 1,000,000 diamond shards. I saw Sanai burning like a supernova, laughing as she vaporized a legion of cleaners. And I saw Ronin. I saw him standing in front of a massive machine, a loom made of light and bone. He wasn't destroying it. He was sitting in the chair. He was wearing the crown. I see. I lied. I see a fight. A hard one. But I see us winning. Ronan smiled. It was the success chic smile, but it looked stretched now, like he was wearing someone else's face. Good, he said. Then get some sleep. Tomorrow we hunt. He walked back up to the deck. I sat there, listening to the thrum of the engine. The boat rocked. We were heading north, toward the ice, toward the dark. He's lying, Ica whispered to me. And so are you. I know, I said. I looked at my hand. It was trembling. We weren't the vipers anymore. We were the rats on a sinking ship. And the captain was hungry. Archivist note, Quinn. Oh, this is delicious. Do you see the tension? It's a violin string pulled so tight it's about to snap and slice everyone's throat. Ronan thinks he is the player. He thinks he is collecting Pokemon cards. I choose you, schizophrenic time boy. I choose you, bipolar gravity girl. He doesn't realize that by bringing them together, he isn't building an army. He's building a bomb. And poor, sweet Zara, she sees the explosion coming, but she's too afraid to cut the wire. Next stop, Alaska. Bring a coat, darlings. It's going to be a cold funeral. Fade to black.
Please don't leave me on my own. Unpack the bags and close the door. Don't drive away alone.
In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. Cause these nightmares, they come creeping, stealing my peace while I'm sleeping. Still got creatures under my bed, and I know they're never leaving. So I think I'll just keep them, let them fuck up all these demons that been keeping me from freedom. Finally, I can just let them go. Yeah, the boogeyman ain't got shit on me. I got one night light coming from my screen. Still stuck in the room, write melodies. But lately I could really use some fucking sleep. It really don't matter to me. I would give it all up for a couple of Z's. Yeah, give it all away for another dream. Just give me one night of some fucking peace. And please don't mind my mental. It gets fucked up when I grip the pistol. Plain and simple, gun to temple. Lights out now, low to hear the whistle.
Diggy, wake up.
In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. Cause these nightmares, they come creeping, stealing my peace while I'm sleeping. Still got creatures under my bed, and I know they're never leaving. So I think I'll just keep them, let them fuck up all these demons that been keeping me from freedom. Finally, I can just let them go. In the dead of the night, am I dead or alive? I've been running away from this pain. In the blink of an eye, I think I'm losing my mind. I think I really be going insane. In a dream I could fly way up in the sky, but the nightmare's where I stay. Yeah, these nightmares, they still haunt me ever since you went away. In the dead of the night I close my eyes, but my mind won't let me rest. Cause I'm haunted by the shadows that you instill in my head. Am I dead or alive? Cause it don't feel right with a hole inside this chest. Since you left, I'm a mess, I'm undead. I'm a mess, I'm undead.